All right. Well, shall
Shout
we
out to
kick off?
you.
We are
Send me your
recording.
address and I'll send you some flowers. Yeah, let's kick it off.
Sure.
uh
So
yeah,
we're new here.
so it's true. Yeah, we are somewhat new. I was kind of in the background for a while in Ironclad. But now that I've kind of put more energy in and kind of come to the fore in this community, I'm very happy to be here. I've obviously been um privy to all the development and helping out as I can, but very happy to be here. Very happy to see you all. Hello, welcome to this office hours. Is this the first Iron Chad office hours?
I suppose it
Um,
might be, to be honest.
True.
I don't, especially not called office hours, but I suppose as things trend more towards the unification of Oath and Grain, I'm not sure how familiar the Ironclad audience is with all that history. It is Ironclad's starting to fall into our rotation of communications, so start to expect a more frequent cadence of sort of stage appearances, especially sharing the stage with hopefully CryptoFeedy and some other mode network participants to try and collectivize, because collaboration is the seed of growth here in DeFi, to be honest. I'm going to
Oh,
probably say
well
about 10
said.
a week. Yeah, thanks. I have to scratch that off my bingo card now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the mode dudes or people are very big on spaces and comms, verbal comms, which I love because that's right up my alley as well. So yeah, excited to do some more spaces with them and some more events like this. So yeah, so Samson and I today are going to talk about some tokenomics stuff, some ICL business. I'm very excited to do so because we get to express how bullish we are on the protocol. And it's been several months. I think Ironclad launched in February, so it's been a lot leading up to sort of you know bringing you all in and launching a token. And yeah, so it's an exciting moment. Yeah, and I kind of wanted to start off just by talking about um, mode. We kind of perfectly segued into it, but talk about our position on mode now and where the network is, and why we are bullish on mode. Because personally, I see mode sort of developing itself. People forget that it's still very early. It's still a very young network. And I see mode developing itself into a DeFi powerhouse. Like I am, not to flex or anything, but I've been privy to some of what's coming in terms of more protocols, more integrations, and some of the BD work that's being done on the back end. So I can't give details, but all I can say is I'm pretty pumped. And it's the way that the mode team is handling onboarding teams and their focus on DeFi. Me being a DeFi person, it's really exciting, and it makes me happy that it's Ironclad's home. So, Samson, do you got anything to add on to that?
Yeah, definitely. One of the highlights, I guess, for the positioning of Ironclad on mode is that there isn't really a CDP yet, and Ironclad's coming. Currently it's in its weakest state. It's like still almost germinating. But once the CDP stablecoin is live, we're going to see some of the uh, really exciting growth that we're seeing on Mantle with AUSD and the network effect that's creating in terms of just continuously cheap loans, or else really high yield for the stability pool, thereby driving more yield to the stablecoin. So a really nice integrated full suite, turning Ironclad from just a lending market, like say some of the other competition, like Ionic, not to, well, I've said it now, but we're going to turn into more of a credit layer where we're offering multiple different products to service your needs. And that is what's going to set us into a category of our own, where with mode's buy-in and interest in the stablecoin and Ironclad, and by having this fantastic yeah, network of protocols that is establishing, you can see that mode is doing well at organizing people, I think, and they're also doing well at incentivizing the developers to be generous with users. So DevDrop is obviously probably the best example in crypto right now of developers finding a way to have, Mode finding a way to give developers the tools to drive further adoption, without absolutely breaking the protocol, trying to match some of the unrealistic yields that are out there in the market these days. But
Yeah.
really, Ironclad will be in a league of its own soon. And it's quite exciting how close we are to realizing that.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, now that you actually mentioned Ionic, we're really tight with those guys, and us being able to sort of branch off into sort of a new direction and offer like CDP functionality on Mode. It just allows more room for collaboration with Ionic and with every other protocol on Mode. Like we can kind of each fall into our own lanes where we can specialize and be leaders in each category, and then all come together as a unit and just like, you know, just pump the metrics and just get to 1 trillion TVL.
So what that
So
could look like, I guess, as an actual example, would be if we could get IUSD, integrated into Ionic as another asset. I mean,
yeah, totally.
that would be kind of like an end state goal for like a collaboration with them. And yeah, it is like, even though sometimes protocols can offer the same services, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily competing, because the network success should almost come first, and kind of making the blockchain valuable for users. And that can mean, that a user can use both Ionic and Ironclad and still be offering the most benefit to Mode. So one of the
Totally.
things that I
DeFi
wanted to
Lego
highlight,
blocks.
DeFi Lego blocks, absolutely. It's only when you step back that you see the full picture, right? Like,
Mm.
so with ICL, I also wanted to highlight that we've been running it essentially on like free mode, where there's no fees at all being driven to the protocol. But with the launch of ICL coming soon, that's one of the changes that is going to be quite exciting, to see this 100% revenue flow through of all platform fees to ICL stakers, which is quite competitive. And I think, with the incentive structure that we take, which is focusing more on borrows than supplies, and with IUSD continuously supplying cheap liquidity, we should be able to generate plentiful platform fees is the goal. And yeah, all heading to
Yes.
the ICL stakers.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, before the token, there, like we could have taken a fee and just directed it towards the treasury and done something with that, but like driving those to zero while we sort of develop our an impact on the network and making it really cheap for users we thought was a pretty just a win for everybody. And now that there is a direction for that revenue to go to, now that stakeholders in the platform, governors, so to speak. Now there's governors, we can turn this into a real flywheel. Oh, I hate that word now. It's been overused.
Yeah, I'm over flywheel too. I've kind of
Yeah.
unsubscribed, but it
Yeah.
is, I
Forget that,
suppose
Craig.
that, to be honest, with plentiful platform fees, I guess the reason why it would be plentiful is because they're not being shared with anyone else. Like, it's all going to go to the ICL stakers, which is almost unheard of, to be honest. And I think it's only possible thanks to the Codex Foundation and the structure that they've managed to erect with this, process of deploying a protocol per network. Really fascinating stuff to allow for, people to get that granularity and actually create something that, will be attractive, hopefully, if we can keep the
Totally.
borrow and, real high, which I don't think will be a problem in the short term.
Yeah. And something else that will be going to ICL stakers are protocol airdrops and dev drops. So the ongoing sort of grant mechanism that Mode has been running, the first season, or I think they're calling them seasons, um, completed, but there are more seasons to come. And any sort of like incentives that we get from Mode from as a protocol will also be going to ICL stakers. So lots of things to go around. And personally, I will be staking, not financial advice. Um, yeah, and I want to
Let's
say
talk
something else.
quickly, yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk
go
quickly
ahead.
about like staking. There is like a really cool feature about the staking on Ironclad that's different
Oh
than
yes.
other platforms. I'll let you kind of steer this one from here now that I've teed it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, to put it as simply as possible, the longer you stake, the more rewards you will receive. So, essentially, how this works is it introduces a maturity component, a time component to staking. So, what this does is it protects earlier stakers from later diluters. And that's especially important if you're like me and you're not some huge whale. There's nothing worse than hopping in a staking pool and you're like, wow, the APR is so good, and then an hour later you get diluted by someone with like 6 or 7 figures. And you're like, oh, okay, well, it's over now. With the tech underlying the ICL staking, essentially what I can, by being earlier than someone else, I can build up a maturity level. I can be rewarded for the commitment that I've already put into the pool in terms of time. So like the time as well as my amount is going to determine what my APR is and how many rewards I'm getting. So that really, I love this mechanism so much. It doesn't involve any locking. All it disincentivizes unstaking via you losing your the time that you committed. So essentially, it's really awesome because it just aligns the stakers with the values of the protocol, and it just incentivizes people in a way that doesn't make them forego their liquidity in the long term.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So it's
very
literally
cool.
just a loyalty perk. The longer you
Yeah.
hang out, the greater the share relative to the amount and maturity of the pool, and well, of your position and the pool. It's quite a revolution in staking mechanisms, and we think it should be the norm. So we're hoping that Ironclad can be a really fantastic example of the power of this reverse mechanism, enabling that freedom while still, rewarding earlier users for their loyalty. So this is the digit mechanism. Yes. I'm glad
Indeed.
you've heard of digit.xyz, which was
Yeah.
the first implementation we managed of Reliquary, which is the
Yeah, and
technology.
actually,
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off, Samson.
Go ahead, Charles.
But yeah, actually, so Digit, the Digit system is kind of the V1 of that contract. And now we have a very talented dev who has upgraded the contract. I'm not sure if it's fully like done now, but he's in the process of making that contract into sort of a V2 version where on Digit you had to level up manually. So every, every month or every week you would have to go in, press upgrade, and then it would reflect your current maturity. But auto leveling, as Equestical has mentioned, is now going to be a thing. So you don't have to do anything, and essentially there are an infinite number of levels. It's like every block you can imagine, every block you are a fraction higher than you were the last block. So you don't need to do anything, like Brick says, doesn't need to set his reminder every 2 weeks. You can just leave it and it'll level up for you. So super big upgrade. I love that upgrade. Just less things for users to do, which I think is the ultimate goal. And there's another question: any penalty aside from the time you committed? So no, not to say that that's like not a thing that could change. Maybe for some reason in the future, there's a reason why, like, there's a good reason for us to, throw some penalty in that would go back to the other stakers. But um, as of now, no.
Yeah,
I
there is
don't I
no.
don't know how, yeah, I don't know how I feel about those kinds of mechanisms where it's like you're penalizing people for accessing the liquidity that they need that you wanted them to have access to in the first place. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason we don't want to have to force people to lock their assets.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in the similar vein.
I wanted to mention two things real quick, and then we can maybe move on to the next topic. But the first is that I wanted to clarify that if you add more weight to your balance, or if you add more like value to your balance, it will weight back your existing maturity such that it's like averaged. So if you had two parts and then you add a zero part, it would go down to one. So like half the maturity, basically. And this is just to prevent, that dilution of rewards, obviously. So that helps keep um, your position and maturity relative to, I guess, your actions. And
Yeah.
the second thing is that the ideal pathway and what we're hoping to accomplish, and this may not be available for ICL staking day one, but integrating, mechanisms or a marketplace to exchange those maturity positions such that now you can actually realize the benefit of your maturity, much like a bond or other financial units that exist to facilitate the like value of time, so to speak. So really exciting development, huge. It's a first for DeFi. It's actually like Reliquary is a bond that can't be replicated in traditional finance. So it's actually something new that like hasn't really been possible before. So it's quite exciting. So let's talk quickly about the S1 sale details. Not much to say. We feel like the document is quite succinct. So just wanted to highlight that there are more details available on a mirror link, which will get shared in the chat for you to read about the
Cool.
upcoming launch. We're really excited to work with S1, kind of continuing their kind of mode season, and yeah, excited to bring these developments to the market. To be honest, it's like we've seen successes on other networks, especially with the equivalent of IUSD, and it really levels up the platform into a league of its own. So we think it's like the perfect crescendo to sort of top it off and give
Yeah.
everyone the means to scale the platform up.
Yeah, Watts has shared the link in the chat. He was quick with it. I had my finger on the trigger and he just jumped in there. That was awesome. I tried to beat him to it, but too quick. Um, he's working on 1,000 watts of power. Thank you. I'll be here all day. So yeah. So S1 details. If you guys have any questions about those, the article that was shared, please drop them and we will answer. But I feel like it's all pretty self-explanatory. The other article that we wanted to talk about, obviously, was the tokenomics article, which a lot of the details there we've kind of touched on already. But again, if you've read through it or if you're reading through it, feel free to ask any questions, any clarifying questions. But tokens have been allocated to liquidity, to the treasury, strategic partnerships. So that would be something that pops up that could use some funding, like maybe a sex listing. That's a good example of a strategic partnership. Obviously, we'll have treasury funds. And to speak on the liquidity a little bit, we are doing some modeling at the moment to essentially post TGE give all of the TGE participants and all of the airdrop participants trying to craft the best possible market conditions for liquidity so that people can do what they need to do, and LPs can rake in some rewards if they want to do that as well. So we're doing some modeling there. Incentives as well. Samson mentioned on the lending market side, we're going to be focusing on borrowing, which has worked out really well in the past with other lending markets, like Granary and like what's happening on Aurelius. And more modeling has been done. Actually, that's been pretty much cemented in terms of we've mapped out the first year of incentives. We know exactly how much we're going to emit, and we're basically going to weight those incentives towards liquidity pools and towards money markets based on what we need, you know, in the short term. So yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, BJK. Get everyone 1,000 ICL each. I'm for it. No one say anything. No, I'm kidding. Okay. um, yeah. So I don't know, Samson. What am I missing? I was kind of all over the place there, but
I guess one of the other
what
ones
else
I
is
wanted to
there?
highlight, just given I do see some other codex users in here. The foundation amount, the 10%.
Ah,
That's
yes.
what we'll heading to codex. And apart from that, I also wanted to highlight the ecosystem grant. There's quite a large slice there, and this is for incentivizing other protocols to or people to develop on top of Ironclad and sort of, you know, as a means of getting other people, thinking about our platform essentially, and helping to build a better solution for maybe particular problems or enhancing the product. Maybe they're building vaults on top or specific strategies or some sort of delta neutral hedge. If you're building something or want to build something, we want to hear from you. So this ecosystem grant allocation will be better detailed in the future. It's something that I think we won't see much use of initially, just because so much of it will be handled in the launch. But over time, as the network matures and more people are showing up, we may want to start tapping into that ecosystem grant allocation to get teams prioritizing Ironclad such that we can just sort of push the dominance of any element of it forward. It's not limited to any particular part of Ironclad. So if there's a part of the lending market that someone's building on, that's great. If they want to build on IUSD, that's great. If they want to build on Ironclad token, that's great too. So it's definitely a room for exploration and collaboration. So those were the only other two that I kind of wanted to call out that do take up a bit
Yeah,
of that
totally. Yeah,
allocation.
and with the like CDP expansion, also something else that we could share would be UV's research. I don't know if we wanted to post that
Totally.
somewhere.
I guess this is part of
Yeah,
the idea.
damn,
Like
so fast.
if we were to talk about future plans, like IUSD is obviously very exciting, but there is another development that has the potential to completely reshape how our protocols are managed. And it's essentially a PID controller that UV has put together. There's a research paper that which you can get into if you like a little bit of bedtime reading, and it explains how we can essentially create a system that is sort of reflexive to the conditions of the market and I guess its usage, to such a point that we can start to curve out really stubborn loan positions that are maybe toxic or make people uncomfortable. An example was on Metis chain. Granary had a Metis token whale who max borrowed out the stablecoin balance on the market and was paying something around like 200% APY, or if I recall. And obviously that's great. You want to be getting that 80 to 100% APR as a stablecoin holder, right? Except if you need to access that money because he's borrowed it. So people didn't like being sort of trapped in that position. And so this is a tool that can help programmatically curve out those sorts of borrowers that are like making it unhealthy by either making the loan so untenable that they have to pay some back and sort of settle the interest rate curve back down, or more suppliers will show up because the rates are getting so high. It wouldn't cap out at 200. It would then go to 250, then 300, then 400, then, until such time that it starts to trend back to what we would mark as the optimum rate, essentially. So it's quite a massive step forward, because traditional systems are just sort of, I don't know, I guess a bit slower to the shot. They're a bit slow to react. A lot of the times they are just they're managed by teams, and we're really happy with the track record of Granary and all these other lending market deployments that we've managed to keep over these last years of operating them. But it is kind of a relief to sort of not have to think about these interest rate curves anymore, and sort of let the system work it out now. So definitely recommend, if this is a fascinating topic to you, that you check out the article. There was also a really fantastic educational piece that UV coordinated with you, Charles. I believe I was even on the stage with AS, and in the Oath happy hour. So maybe we can dig that one up and share it too, because it's basically like a teacher going through how a PID system works. Definitely good value. So a lot of people come
totally.
to Oath happy hours and they're like blown away, like with walking away with a way better understanding of maybe a complex subject like a PID control system, which is how like nuclear missiles use these same systems. So I just find it so funny that like we're bringing like some of the best insights from other industries to DeFi, and that's really what we're seeing over time. Is the best of other industries are starting to come in and just improve the general knowledge. Hopefully we can see huge impact with this, and we'll be rolling it out on the markets and the CDP as well. So stay tuned for that one. The markets will be coming first. So.
Yeah, would highly recommend. I dropped it in the event chat. Watching that video, because UV does a super good job explaining it. And I didn't know anything. Like, I honestly didn't know anything going into the chat. It was a selfish play by me to just like, I'm like, hey guys, why don't we do control theory one? Selfishly just wanting to understand it myself. But like by the end of it, I was like, oh, this like makes total sense. And then after reading his paper, it just gave me some really good context to actually understanding some of the math that he's doing and some of the modeling he's doing. So big brain UV, highly recommend checking that out. I was gonna, please.
I saw Equestical mentioned Velodrome earlier. So I wanted to just quickly talk about the liquidity market after ICL and like what you could expect. These details are all subject to change because, originally we were looking at launching on Kim, but with Velodrome now being live, we're obviously we already have exposure to Velodrome through Codex, but we can sort of build on the system and actually start to increase our trajectory of growth there through some really nifty creations that we've cooked up mainly for staking. So on the staking page on Ironclad, there will actually be multiple options. There will be single stake Ironclad itself, which is going to be fun. But then there will also be LP vaults. And these LP vaults will actually be like a double stake solution, kind of like Liquid Driver's double staking, if you guys are familiar with that. But essentially, it will allow us to distribute Ironclad tokens to LPs and then letting those LPs be staked on the protocol's behalf, such that it's now acquiring the Velodrome and building up a larger position. And then we will be doing a recycling of sorts, or at least like using the revenue generated by vVelo to improve the liquidity landscape of the Ironclad empire that we're building here on Mode. So, we're calling this the liquidity growth strategy. Not very sexy. It's no flywheel. It's kind of a flywheel. We'll have some more graphics sort of detailing it and trying to make it look and sound a bit more common sense to people that don't know some of these words, hopefully. But this is, you can expect to see IUSD on Velodrome, yes. You'll see IUSD on most of the major players on Mode. And we do hope that we can achieve some level of network success and like penetrate such that it becomes a staple, such that every net exchange, considers having one IUSD pool as a means of catching some of that volume. So yes, but no, but yeah, it's a ever-changing landscape, Questicle. So I just want to prepare you for the fact that we're still, I don't know, in flux when it comes to where the final chips will land. But those are our intentions, and obviously we really like both Kim and Velodrome and swap mode as well, and looking forward to like the plethora, it's a nice word, of other exchanges and protocols that will be following up next, and making sure that we can be top of mind and help break them into the mode ecosystem.
I swear to God, every space Samson has a thesaurus in front of him, and he's just flipping through, choosing the most just flamboyant words. What about that one? I was just laughing at Brick Frogs. We call it a plethora wheel. Um, that's funny. There was another question a while back that a Questicle mentioned, which is sort of what is the yield, or like what is the format of the yield that stakers are going to be receiving? So real yield, so ETH, and I think like I need to check in with the devs doing this contract, but I believe it's ETH and then some, some ICL, you know, treasures sprinkled on top. But it's majority real yield. So that's pretty cool. Is there anything else you can say about that, Samson?
Yeah, I'm kind of also not sure, Questicle, what the yield output would be. I know that
definitely ETH and potentially other real yield tokens, but maybe we'll make the decision to just convert it all into ETH and distribute that way.
It could be something like that, but we're also like, the nice thing with the reliquary technology is it can handle multiple rewards. So we could elect to do it just is every fee as it's generated, such that you're just exposed to whatever's popular on the network. Borrow, especially borrow wise, because that's how the fees are generated from the market. It's, I guess, just like leave it with us. We're going to obviously be unveiling more details very soon about some of those finer things, but yeah, can't speak exactly to what the final tokens will be received for Ironclad stakers yet. So stay tuned.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat and trying to make sure we haven't missed anything. Yeah. So
BJK asks, I can quickly just say that we'll probably just use like a 3-day rolling price at the time of distribution, and just average it out. So when the distribution comes up, we'll just look at the price and send what it is. Yeah.
Send it. Send it. Yeah. I was going to earlier maybe point some people in the direction of the Codex announcement. I don't know how. I'm sure it came across, the Ironclad community, but if you guys were confused a little bit before when we were chatting about Codex and it kind of being the hub from which Ironclad sort of sprouts. I can drop maybe if Watts, Fast Finger Watts. Oh, there we go. Samson's got it. But yeah, guys, check out the.
I got the old one. Hold on.
Okay. Well, you had 1 second to click on it and you missed it. So sorry, everyone.
Okay.
Of the rocket wheel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this is something else that's been, we've been working on for a very, very long time. Yeah, totally. That's it. That's it, Watts. So check that out, guys, if you're unfamiliar, and maybe you can sort of
just got it in a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of put some puzzle pieces together in terms of, and it'll help you. It's for the foundation portion of the ICL tokenomics article that Samson mentioned. So yeah, check that out if you haven't if you haven't already.
Yeah, I guess I want to explicitly
Mhm.
kind of call out that, Ironclad and sort of what Codex is offering is like a standard for DeFi in some ways. And Ironclad is the mode standard. And what that means is you can expect Ironclad to be perfectly positioned within the Codex app and ecosystem, especially with like these competitive parameters that we're talking about. We hope that through the constant just sort of dev drop framework and other sort of exciting things happening on mode, we can keep the leverage high and kind of offer that continuous stimulation, such that Codex will always trend towards Ironclad. At least that's the hope. It will just trend to wherever the user will get the best deal, but expect Ironclad to be superbly positioned so that Codex users can become aware of and comfortable with it as a brand. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for that one, and definitely not subscribe, follow the X account.
Maybe we should start an Ironclad YouTube channel. You can subscribe there. I would love to do that. That'd be fun. Maybe some tutorials or whatever. That sounds like a good idea. I would like to maybe a Codex YouTube channel that covers a bunch of tutorials on different apps. That'd be awesome. I'm just spitballing, but yeah, the network effects go like it's a two-way street, and through Ironclad, our reach on the mode network is increased, and through Codex, like our reach through Codex can expand to a bunch of other networks. Like you can think of it as kind of I wonder what the word is, but like a roundabout with a bunch of streets going off of it, and people entering from the street on like coming from one direction are going to see the street on the opposite side, and so you kind of have this core at the middle that's kind of connecting all these users and making them aware of other apps and other networks. So yeah, it's a really, really powerful model for growing a user base and growing a community. Yeah, very, very. It's all coming together. Extremely excited to be able to talk about this now because it's been sort of under wraps for so long.
Yeah. Let's quickly move to some final questions, guys. We are coming up in 45 minutes, so maybe let's get one or two final questions if you have any about what we've spoken about. Otherwise, we'll aim to kind of close it up soon. Not to just kind of bring the curtain out so quickly, but it's been really nice for
I'm
the
getting
detailing
roasted in this.
things. Yeah,
Totally.
nice to see
I'm getting roasted in the chat right now. Look, guys, it was an analogy on the fly, okay, or a simile, I guess, if Coop's right. I hadn't thought of that before, so give me a break.
Huge recap.
Thank
Watts.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Watts. Man behind the curtain, the man behind the racer helmet.
The Stig. Is that what you mean?
What?
Oh man, do you mean the Stig?
The
We need a
Stig?
DeFi Stig. Have you?
What is a
It's
Stig?
like a Top Gear. It's a Top Gear character. Have
Oh,
you ever seen
what?
Top Gear? It's a car. Do you like
I've seen
cars?
Top Gear. I
Okay,
like
so there's
cars.
like,
I drive.
yeah, you're into cars because there's a car show, and then there was like a driver, and it always turned out to be some famous
Oh,
like driver, but they kept him under a helmet so they could just kind of swap him out if he was like unwell, or couldn't make it.
I see.
It's pretty,
I
pretty
see.
cool.
Okay, so Watts is our Stig.
The Stig, demon from hell. Oh man, I wonder if they knew that. What's his ass Stig? Yeah, I mean, what's cool about Watts' profile picture is that he made that and didn't even know that Codex was orange. So he's actually like right on brand with his
Ooh,
helmet
yeah.
and orange. The
Yeah,
last thing
and
I'll say
so
is that
mhm.
we've actually just witnessed a recording of Justin's speech about Codex at Consensus. So, give us some grace to let it needs to be prepared, but it'll be distributed soon. So get ready to check it out from Justin unveiling Codex to the team at
Yeah, hell yeah,
Consensus.
he crushed it.
It
He
was
crushed
really
it. To
awesome.
anyone
Yeah.
who knows Justin, he's pretty good speaker. So I expected nothing less, but he smashed it. It was really
Yeah, the
awesome, really
presentation was
bullish.
dope. Yeah.
Yeah,
And we'll make
for sure.
sure to do to find a way to get it distributed. Right now, we've only seen the phone recording, so we're just going to wait for to hear back from them post event, because I believe there may be some other work being put into that. So, anyways, thanks guys for coming out for this event. We'll close it off now and see you at the next one. And congratulations to the people who received a drop for your attendance. Thank you for attending the first one. We appreciate seeing all
Yeah,
of you. Have a wonderful afternoon or
yeah,
evening or morning,
heck yeah.
depending on where you are.
Thanks, guys. It was fun. It's a fun. Always a good time being up on stage with you, Samson.
Likewise, Charles. Thank you.
You and your thesaurus-filled hands. All right.
Appreciate it. Catch you guys
Yeah.
later. I'm ending the stage.
See you guys.
Goodbye.